Hi everybody, this is the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion, your host, the Hut, and of course this is the Baseball Hut 2. This is a Mets rant, but it's a mini Mets rant because this isn't something that the Mets have done. But I saw this ridiculous trade that MLB Network has proposed. This supposed trade that they proposed by Bo Porter. And Bo Porter, wasn't he like a backup infielder or outfielder? And he was a manager for a while, the Astros manager, and he was on a bad Astros team. I guess he's got a lot of time on his hands, and apparently, because we're not quite there at the trading deadline, he proposed this trade, which, if you're the New York Mets, this makes zero sense. I could see the Angels doing this in a second. They'd have to give him Shohei Ohtani, but they would basically take the entire Mets farm system for 2 months. 2 months. Now, before we get into this, please, of course, subscribe and like the video. And this is, like I said, it's just a mini rant. It has nothing to do with anything the Mets have done. It's just my reaction to this complete, total stupidity. All right. And this proposed trade, which involves 4 players, 1, 2, 3, 4, 12-player trade. This is a 12-player trade proposed by Bo Porter. The Mets would get Shohei Ohtani. Now, we know Ohtani is the best player in baseball. Best player in the world. He's the best player in Japan, best player they play here. He's a designated hitter, right-handed pitcher. He's one of the best hitters. He's one of the best pitchers in baseball. Any team would want him on. Any team would want them on their team. Mets would want him on their team. The Mets will be in on the bidding in the off season for him. I can guarantee you that. Doesn't mean that they're going to sign him, but they will talk to him and try to get him. The next player that the Mets would receive in this trade. Now, Ohtani would be huge here. He would be huge. He would be the biggest star in town. He'd be bigger than Aaron Judge, Pete Alonso. He'd be the biggest player here. And he would really invigorate the Asian community in this city in a way we've never seen. Then the Mets would, in this deal, would take third baseman Anthony Rendon. Anthony Rendon, since he left the Nationals in 2019, has been a terrible player. He has done absolutely nothing. Since he went to the Angels, he's hit 49 points below his batting average. He's a 290 hitter with the Angels. I think he's a 240 hitter. I mean, a 290 hitter with the Nationals and a 240 hitter for the Angels. He's been a terrible player. He's terrible now, and he's got a bad attitude now. He'll fight with the fans. Even the few fans that are in Oakland, he'll fight with you. I mean, he was a Met killer like you've never seen. If you don't know what's been going on here, this guy was a Met killer of the major order. He was up there with Stargell, up there with Chipper Jones, up there with Pat, what the hell is his name? Pat, whatever the hell his asshole name was with the Phillies. Hunter Renfroe. 31-year-old Hunter Renfroe with his 30 RBIs in half a season. Who's bouncing around. Why is he bouncing around from team to team like he's Bruce Banner, for God's sake, or David Banner from The Incredible Hulk? That guy's bouncing around from more teams over the last few years than they've ever seen. Red Sox got rid of him pretty quickly. I wonder why. And then the cherry on top of this, the things the Mets would receive here, is 31-year-old, 32-year-old Chris Davinsky, who has thrown about 20-something innings with an ERA a little under 3, and the Mets would pick him up. Well, that's a great trade. That's just, you get 2 months of Ohtani, you get Rendon, the rest of his big contract with 0 production, and a bunch of old guys. And what would the Mets give up? Well, it's funny you should ask. They'd have to give up their number 4 prospect, who's Ryan Mauricio, shortstop. He's playing second base. He's playing a little bit of left field. He's not quite ready yet. They want to see him be competent in 2 different positions before they call him up. And he's not ready yet. And offensively, he needs to take more pitches. He just needs a little more time. They would give up in this move third baseman Brett Beatty, who has had good moments, but I would not move him. The Mets have pretty much let it be known they don't want to move him. So he's not going anywhere. Okay, third baseman Eduardo Escobar. No problem. You can move him. He's an old guy at this point in his career. No problem moving him. Outfielder Starlin Marte. Again, no problem. Move him on. Get him out of here. Not an issue. Number 1 prospect, catcher, Kevin Parada, they would move. So far, you've given up your 4th best prospect, now your 1st best prospect. Kevin Parada, who's a catcher. Mets have a catcher in Francisco Alvarez. But the belief is that Parada will be here in the majors. He'll be with the Mets. He'll share time with behind the plate. Very similar to what the Braves do down there with Murphy and with Travis d'Arnaud. Parada's more of a DH sort of. He may not be as good of a catcher as Alvarez has shown to be so far. So he might be a guy that plays a little left field, plays behind the plate, maybe DHs. I wouldn't do this move. I wouldn't move him. Right-handed pitcher Tyler McGill, the recently demoted Tyler McGill, who I can't understand why he hasn't improved. I'm very concerned by his development and David Peterson's development, quite frankly. Then, this just gets even better. Mets number 5 best prospect, Blake, which they got his name wrong in this. His name's not Blake, it's Blade, believe it or not. Blade Tidwell, I believe. And Tidwell is the 5th best prospect. He's right-handed pitcher. He's pitching really well in the minors. He's pitching well for Brooklyn. He had a big start on Thursday. Went into the 8th inning. He's pitched really well in Brooklyn. He's very impressive. Then they would move number 6 best prospect, right-handed pitcher Dominic Hamel, who there's some questions what kind of pitcher he's going to be. But you move, let's say that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the Mets in this trade would move 6 young players for 2 months of Shohei Ohtani. A big contract in Anthony Rendon, old Hunter Renfroe, and old Chris Davinsky. Oh, this is a great trade. This is about as good as it gets, folks. This is a great trade. Holy shit. It's a terrible trade. The biggest thing that ownership, this is an ownership thing. The biggest thing that Steve Cohen has said is he doesn't want to, the reason he brought in all these veteran players in the first few years of him being owner is because he said, and we can all agree, that the Mets do not have a big farm system to develop. He wants to have a farm system like the Dodgers, where they constantly bring in players, where they don't have to spend the kind of money they've had to spend in the last few years. So you make this kind of a trade, and you're basically putting yourself kind of in a similar position that the Mets are in now, to where they're 6 games under 500. There is nobody that's in the farm system that can help you. You're screwed. You're basically screwed. Because if Ohtani doesn't sign here and maybe goes to the Dodgers or to the Cubs, you've given up 5 young players in this move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players. 6 players in this move. You basically emptied out your entire farm system. And for 2 months of Ohtani and Rendon, who was shot to hell. But don't worry, this was all the brainchild of Bo Porter. There's a reason why he's not managing. It's not some front office. It's because of nonsense like this. This is the weirdest trade I've ever seen. You basically unload your entire farm system. It basically tells you that everything that Steve Cohen has promised about the farms, which the Mets have done, other than these moves last year at the deadline, they didn't move any big prospects. They've not moved any top 30 prospects. Unlike the previous regime, they moved Pete Crow Armstrong, but I had a problem with that. We'll see how he is as a player, but these are going to be some weird trades we're going to be seeing, especially with Ohtani over the next month and a half. I can tell you that. And this takes the cake, folks. It doesn't take pie. Pie's easier to take than cake, but boy, oh boy, there's not a lot of brain power here to come up with this kind of a move. Holy shit. Well, I don't know how to explain this to you. You can figure this out on your own. You're all very smart subscribers here. And if you're watching this video, you're a smart person. as well. But thank you for watching this video. Of course, please subscribe to the Baseball Hut too. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.